Morning everybody. Today I'm going to show you a really quick technique that's a really cool technique. It's going to show you how to create some texture in rocks. I'm doing a picture here of Carreg Cennen, which is a castle, a very beautiful castle in the western Brecon Beacons. The nearest village is Trap, and we're looking towards the Ammanford Moor, which is up here. Over the other side here is Brynamon, and Ammanford is over here. Very beautiful part of the world. I just thought we'd do a local scene because I know that a lot of you can't get out, and certainly can't get in a car to go to Carreg Cennen and travel very far. So what I've done is I've got a little sketch here of the castle on the hill. I'm using acrylic paint. I've put a little bit of white and some grey in the sky with a little bit of burnt sienna, and I've just used a diagonal stroke to draw that down in a diagonal fashion so it looks like the weather's sort of sweeping in. I've used a little bit of grey and blue to create this very distant hill here, and a darker grey directly behind the castle, just to give the castle a little bit of drama and help it to stand out a little bit more. A bit of green mixed with a bit of yellow just to block in this area here. And I'm just about to make sure that all these areas are dried off nicely, and I'm just about to put in the castle. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white, acrylic paint like I said, and a small detailed brush, and I've mixed that acrylic paint, the white, with a touch of grey here on my Stay Wet palette, which you can see a demonstration of how to make on one of my other tutorials. That's just a plastic tray with a piece of greaseproof and a wet sponge in the bottom, so that if you have any paint left at the end of this session, you can just put your lid on and it will stay wet for when you do another painting. So like I said, just a bit of white with a bit of grey. You don't need very much paint for this because obviously the castle is tiny, and we're just going to paint the castle in this grey tone just very quickly. For those of you who know the castle, you'll know that it was painted by Turner, and there's a very beautiful sketch of it in the Turner collection if you want to have a look, which of course is online and free. A whole collection of Turner's paintings and sketchbooks. It's incredibly beautiful to look at, and Turner spent quite a lot of time in West Wales painting castles and landscape. So there we have our castle. We're also going to paint a little bit of this grey onto the rocks, the very jagged rocks. This is another characteristic of this area, are these very jagged outcrops. I hope you're all keeping well. Here in Wales, we had the news yesterday that our restrictions are still being enforced. But in England, Boris seems to have decided that it's okay to go back to work. So it's causing a bit of chaos. But here in my studio, as all artists will know, we're professionals at self-isolation, so nothing much has changed, but we're obviously all thinking about those who are suffering at the moment in whatever way. But painting really does help to ease the pressure and to relax. So there's the little jagged rocks coming down. If you sit in the picnic area by Carreg Cennen car park, you can look up at this view. It's really comfortable. There's picnic tables and you can sit there and paint. It's really marvellous, and they have a lovely cafe, and it's free to park up there. It's not free to get into the castle, but you know, the charge is there for maintenance of the castle, so it's really important that we contribute to that. Okay, so the technique I wanted to show you was to put some cling film down on this area here. So what you need to do is you need to mix up a whole load of paint. So greens, greys, browns, whatever you want to use. And you want to put it quite thickly down in this area here. And what I'll have to do, because it's a process that needs to be left overnight, I will show you the technique here, and then you can have a go yourself. I will take a picture of it in its finished form, and then I'll put it at the end of this tutorial so that you can see the final picture. So can you see I've got this really pale yellow colour. I want this pale yellow colour because I want the effect of strong light coming through very stormy clouds on this this castle area here. So I've got some pale yellow. I've also got some pale green colour. So I'm just going to put that down as well. Now this can be reasonably random. You need to get lots of paint on. You need to cover this surface. You can sort of control it to an extent, but just be fairly random. I'm just going to fill this area in here in this colour, like so. Have some darker tones and some lighter tones. Imagine that there's some darkness coming in from the left, because we've got some darkness here. There would be some grass. These marks are to represent the cliff edge. If you know if I can find a picture, an original picture of Carreg Cennen, I'll put that at the beginning of the tutorial so you can see how it's supposed to look. You can see that it's very craggy in this area, which is why the castle was built here in the first place. So I've got some darker grey in here, and I'm just going to put that down in areas where I know there are more severe drops and marks in those areas. So in here again, I'm just going to put a bit more there. I've got a bit of black, and again I'm just going to put that here like that. I'm going to put a bit here. Like I said, just be fairly random with where you put these marks, but like I said, you need to get the paint on, and you need to get it on thick. I'm going to take some green now. I'm just going to pop it up the top of this section here, just so that I know. Ideally, you don't want to see any white paper left. However, I know that this is going to sort of squidge and squish around. I'm also going to take a little bit, a bit of white, I think, and just put in some dots of white here and there, like that. Right, I think I've probably got enough there. Now this is very experimental, so you don't know what you're going to get. So clear your space up a little bit, move your paints away, move your water away, and we're going to take some cling film. Now, you can either use cling film, you can use plastic bags, you can use bits of newspaper, anything that you can scrunch up, basically, into sort of shapes. So this cling film is always awkward to get off, as you can see. So I'm just going to, there we go, got it. So you need a fairly, you can work on this in pieces. This side has gone now. Hold on 1 second. You can sort of take bits of the cling film, bits of the paper, bits of whatever. You can use greaseproof paper. You can use all sorts of different things. It's quite a fun project to just experiment with different materials, just to see what happens with each material. But for this job, I'm just going to use a piece of cling film, and I'm just going to sort of scrunch it up like this, okay? And then I'm going to lay it down on top of that paint. And you must lay it down scrunched up, and you must press it down into the paint. So again, if you've missed anything, take a piece, scrunch it up, lay it down, press it down into your paint. And you can sort of press it and move. Can you see how that worked then? You can sort of press it so that the paint moves a little bit underneath that cling film. Now, we normally use this technique in watercolour, and you can use it in watercolour as well. The difference with the acrylic is when you lay it down onto your paint, leave it to dry for a few minutes, then take it off. Whereas with watercolour, you can leave it on until it dries completely. You can see that these marks are being created now down in those little gaps. So leave it to dry for a little while and then peel it off. Okay, so I'm going to finish this painting and take a picture of it and then put it on the end of this tutorial so that you can see the final product. Okay, have a go, see how you go with it. Like I said, just leave it on for a few minutes and then remove it. Okay, thanks for watching.